In this episode, I got an AKAI AM2450. This is a stereo integrated amplifier, 45 watts per channel that AKAI produced, you can say probably the early 1980s. Full discrete, transistors, no modules or anything in this one. And it's got a couple things, so let's check it out. This is an old AKAI AM2450 amplifier. Got a bit of rust on the top cabinet of the unit here. Haven't tried this out yet, so it's hooked up to speakers, it's hooked up to a source for music, and I'm going to power it up and see whether it does anything. Okay, I heard a relay click. I got bad controls for starters, but other than that, I hear sound. Okay, I don't hear anything out of the left channel. Right channel's definitely working. Bad controls. It could be that that's all that's wrong with this, so let's take it apart, clean those controls up, and see whether I got myself a winner or a loser. I noticed that two of the knobs are missing, so that's the first strike against it, is that I got a couple knobs that I'm going to have to try and source if I want to try and sell this one, which I likely will, because I don't really have any need for an old vintage amp. But let's get the top off. Oh, more screws in the back. Took all the screws out from the side, but there's two more in the back that have to come out. And then we'll see how good this amp is. This is probably not a bad amplifier. It's only around 45 watts per channel, I believe. The old amps of this vintage, most of them were not that powerful. But we'll see. And there it is. Here's our transformer. Nice big iron transformer and a couple of filter caps. So this is the amplifier board. As you can see, it's mounted at an angle. That's to give it a little better cooling. So as the warm air rises up, or the air rises up on the heatsink, it picks up the heat, and convection draws it up. And the board is angled in such a way to channel the air a little closer as it's rising up from the bottom, so that it passes directly over the heatsink. The output transistors are actually mounted directly to this heatsink. Now, one thing that's nice about this amplifier is that the controls are all really easy to get at. We have our bass and treble controls and our balance controls over here, but they're all readily accessible. So to clean them, all I need to do is just put the nozzle on the top, and I can give the controls a good shot of cleaner. So I'll clean all the switches and controls. The light for the meter is out. Should be able to replace that. And this one here, they're using a light pipe to take the light from the incandescent bulb. The way that this light pipe is set up, it actually takes light in from all sides and directs it around. So the light enters anywhere around on the 360-degree circumference here, and it's passed out down the channel, reflecting on its way, almost like how fiber optics work. So the light is channeled through this plastic light pipe. So putting an LED in here would provide a very hot light in one direction, but nothing in the other. So I'm probably best to try and find an incandescent bulb for this one. Anyway, the other switches that are the other controls that need to be cleaned are under here. Here's a view from the bottom with the cover removed. Of course, here's the output transistors, 4 output transistors. This one being a class AB, but again, not a real high power amplifier. You know, 45, 55 watts, I would think. Although it does show at plus 3 dB 90 watts, but I don't think it's anywhere near that. It's more like, you know, 45, 50 watts is what I'm going to guess. I pulled the cover off it just because it's a little easier to get at these controls from the bottom, especially the balance control here. So I'm just going to go in and clean the other 3 controls. Just looking at these connections here to see how they look. Yeah, those ones don't look to be too bad. Or are they? Yeah, I guess they look okay. Clean my input and record selector switch. This is the input switch here. Clean the speaker switch back here. And we'll turn it on and see how it sounds. Oh, the lights decided to work. It just wasn't making a good connection, it looks like. Oh, there might be a connection somewhere else in there. That light is working now. It wasn't on before. But now the amp is working. That looks like a power switch that's shorting out or arcing. See that? Or something. Something is arcing. You can see the light brightness changing. Wonder if it's the power switch. Well, that's easy to tell because we can just put a jumper over that power switch and see if that lights up bright right away. If it does, then we know that the power switch has a problem. So to do that, I'll unplug the power just so that I can stick my fingers in here. Safety first, boys and girls, safety first. Normally I wouldn't do it, but I'll have somebody jumping all over me if I did this live without disconnecting the power first. I'd have somebody jumping all over me, telling me that, you know, monkey see, monkey do. They'll see me jump it live and somebody else will jump it live and they'll get a shock and then it'll be my fault. So safety first, boys and girls. We'll just unplug the power. We'll hook our jumper up there, and then when I plug the power in, it should just start right up. And it should light up. Oh, why isn't it? Is my jumper not connecting? Besides jumping on the switch, which didn't work with the dead jumper, we can also do it back here. The red wire here. The red wire goes up to the switch and then it comes back. So let's try it again. Is it going to sputter or is it going to light up? Ah, it's going to light up perfect. So basically we do have a bad switch. If I disconnect it here, you'll see how bad it is, and then when I touch that on there, so we have a switch that is bad. So there is a fault. See, I just disconnected that hot, so the trolls can jump all over me because I stuck my hand in there and I had 120 volts in my hand. We got a bad switch, so let's see if we can repair the switch. I'll take the switch apart and see if we can fix the contacts, and otherwise I'm going to have to try and source one because that is no good, and that'll certainly create problems with the sound. We'd probably hear it sparking if I turn the heat off in here at the fan going, or the heater's running. If I turn the heat off, I'll probably be able to hear this thing sizzling away when I turn it on. Okay, turned off the sound. Let's see if we can hear this switch sparking. Of course, now it's not going to do it. Oh yeah, I can hear it. I don't know if it's coming across on camera, but if you listen closely, you might be able to hear the switch sparking and sputtering on the contacts. Anyway, let's pull the switch apart. To remove the switch, I have to remove the front panel, which means all the knobs have to come off. Oh, wonderful. That one just came apart. Oh, it does have to come off. Definitely does. There we go. What's on here? Oh, it's got a power light that's stuck down to the board with double-sided tape. It's the LED. Stuck on the board with double-sided tape. Interesting. Okay, now I can remove the switch. It looks like I got to remove the switch bracket first, which is right here, and then the switch should drop out. It's actually mounted to another bracket with screws that are inaccessible from the front. Okay, here's our power switch, and I'm going to want to open this switch up so I can clean up the contacts inside. I don't know whether they'll be repairable or not, but we'll certainly give it a shot. First, I'll take it out from this other bracket. And then I should be able to pop this switch apart by just popping open this cover and have a bunch of things go flying out of it. Okay, there's the switch open, and here are the contacts right here. It's just got a contact when you push this power switch on. The power switch just does that, on and off. So right now it's on, and then it goes off, and this goes in like this. This is snapped in like that, so when the switch is out, it's holding the spring contact down. And when you push it in, it releases it, because this goes on like this, right? This little sticker was on the back. So this is the front of the switch. So when the button is out, so say when the button is out, it holds that contact down, which shuts off the power. These contacts here are all burned. You can see that they're nicely pitted. Can we see it with the light on there? Can you see the pitting? I can certainly see the pitting on them. And the switch itself is pretty much toast. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to clean these contacts up. Try to scratch them. I know it's going to get someone's going to get their back up because they're going to say, "Oh, you shouldn't scratch the contacts." Well, sometimes you got to do that when they're pitted like this. There's not really anything else you can do other than to try to scrape them. So I can bend this contact up a bit so that I can actually get in here. I have to bend it back down, but now you should be able to see what I'm talking about. See the pitting on here? This is what's been arcing. So I want to get that corrosion off of this contact, and same with the other one. We want to get the corrosion off, and try to make them at least make a half decent contact without all that sparking and arcing. And yeah, I know I could buy a new switch, but I'm cheap. I don't want to put any money into this thing. I'll get just as much to sell it on the used market with a rebuilt switch than I will with a new switch, right? Because to order a switch in like this, providing I can find one, probably will cost $50, maybe, if not more. By the time it lands here, because it'll more than likely end up coming from the States, by the time it lands here, $50 probably would be not unreasonable for a switch. And I doubt that replacing the switch on it will get me $50 more when I sell the amplifier, because the amplifier might not go for much more than $50. I know there's people that seem to think that this vintage equipment is worth a small fortune, but most of it is not. Most of it doesn't go for that much. And it needs to be a very exceptional piece. You know, there's certain pieces of equipment that will command a lot of money. Like a Sansui 9090, for example, goes for ridiculous amounts of money. I certainly wouldn't pay the kind of money that some people would, but they go for a ridiculous amount. And I had that little Sony amp. What was it? I forget even the model number. It's a real small one, only like, I think it was 20 watts per channel. And I sold that, and I got a lot of money for that. I got the kind of money that thing would have sold for when it was new. But the one that I had was in absolutely pristine. You guys saw it because I overhauled it and I did some work on it. I cleaned it up. You guys saw it. That one there was in the box. It had the original owner's manual with it, and it looked like it just was unpacked. I mean, it was as good a condition as I've ever seen, and I got a lot of money for that one. And I sold it locally to a guy that came out with a big wad of cash and started counting out $50 bills. And he got himself a nice little vintage amp that was, let's say, it's in as good a shape as you'll ever find. Because that one looked like it just came out of the original box. Okay, now I can bend this contact back. Hopefully it will not break. That's always what we hope, that it's not going to break. And that it's still going to turn the unit on and off once I put the cover back on. I am going to spray some contact cleaner in here to help protect the contacts from getting oxygen on them. And we'll put the cover back on. As long as I haven't bent this down too far, it should be in the off position once I snap the cover back on. Actually, I'll put this in the on position while I put it together. Okay. Now we'll plug the power in, and before I mount it, I'll make sure that it's not sparking and sputtering. See, it's not sparking and sputtering anymore. This big blue capacitor here, this is actually there for preventing the contacts from burning when it's turned off. That's what that's for. Is that's to debounce the contacts so that they don't do it. LED on the front here is really, well, it's dim. It's lighting up. It's a little yellow LED, but it's really dim. This LED is probably just about shot. So maybe we'll change that as well. Put a nice bright one in. What do you think? I think so. But this is now working. Actually, this amp sounds nice. Okay, now to find a new LED to replace this one that's seen better days. As you can see, it's barely glowing at all. So let's see what I can find in small, well, I guess is like a 3mm LED. Let me see what I can dig up. I do have a box full of them, but I don't know what shape they're in. I got a whole box full of LEDs, or a whole bin full of them. But most of the ones I try are already dead. So I think the guy that gave them to me probably got them in one of those Radio Shack. You remember back in the days, Radio Shack used to sell boxes of parts. Like you paid like, you know, $2 or $3 or something, and it wasn't that expensive. And you got a bag full of like random parts. Well, 95% of the parts were no good. They were parts that were, you know, fell out of assembly lines and stuff, or didn't pass testing. Most of them were just swept up off the floor. I think that's what they did at the factory in Hong Kong or wherever they were making their stuff at the time. They would, at the end of the day, at the end of the shift, someone would come along and they'd sweep up the floor of all the parts that fell out of the machines that were putting things together, or parts that were dropped by the manual labor assembly people. And anyway, they sweep them all up and put them in a grab bag, and then you went down to Radio Shack and you bought the grab bag and you took your chances. And I think that's where these ones that I've got came from, because, as you say, most of them don't work. I get the odd one that does, but a lot of them don't. This is what I mean. As you say, a neighbor a couple of years ago was driving by and he said, "Hey," he says, "you want some parts?" He says, "I'm cleaning out my garage and I've got a whole bunch of old parts and so forth that he used to use when he said he was an engineer." So anyway, he gave me a bunch of, these are, I guess, are 7-segment displays, common cathode. I don't know what he was doing with these, but he's got wires soldered onto them. That's a 4-digit, like a clock display. I don't think that would look very good. It doesn't have the diffuser. It's just got this. So I don't know what that's actually capable of doing, because it doesn't have the light pipe that would actually form the digits. But yeah, a couple of other, it looks like a calculator display. So say a whole box, like it gave me like 2 big bins worth of full parts, but most of them are like these oddball parts, whatever this thing is here. As you can see, there's all kinds of strange things in here like this. This one's actually broken. One of the pins is broken, but I've got 2 of them here that appear to be almost like new. And these are, I don't even know what these things are. It's a 1A10AH, Electronic Applications Corporation, whatever the heck this thing is. I've never seen these. I have no idea what it is. But I got one here that one of the leads is bust off of it, so maybe we'll tear this thing down someday and take it apart and see what's in it. Anyway, as I say, I've got lots of old LEDs in here. See if I can find one that's going to be appropriately sized. Might not be the same color as the original. The original one's a yellow one, but may not have any luck finding a yellow LED that will fit. But I might have a red one, or even an orange one. Here's some red ones down here. Oh, here's a little yellow one. A little bigger. A little bit bigger than the other one. Let's just see if this red one will work. So the power is on. So if I connect this across the back here, if it works, it'll light up. Oh, that one will light up there. That little red one will light up. Not very bright because current is probably pretty low on this. Well, the same brightness as the other one that's in here. Well, maybe a little bit brighter, but certainly not very bright. That's for sure. Well, some of the other ones I've got. See if there's any brighter. That one's not too bad. A red one. Probably be brighter when I take the other one out because they're running in parallel. Here's a little orange one. How's this one look? Got gold leads on it. That's green. That one lights up green. It's an early green LED, but very, very dim. And the early LEDs were, they did not give off much light whatsoever. You can see that one lighting up there. It's green. I wouldn't imagine that any of these are very bright, because they're all very, very old, and old LEDs did not have the brightness that the more modern ones did. There's a yellow one. Yeah, it looks to be a little bit brighter than the original. Maybe we'll go with this yellow LED. That way I can keep the color of the indicator light the same as the original. Okay, we'll remove the original. And get the replacement ready to go in. Just like that. Solder in the original, or solder in the replacement, and we'll see how it looks once I've got it in place. It might be a little bit brighter than what we saw because there was two of them running in parallel to give them a bit of heat to get the solder to stick. Alright, let's see how this one looks. It's going to look a bit brighter than the other one. Yeah, I think it's a little bit brighter. There we go. Yeah, it's brighter than the other one. This one you might be able to actually see once it's installed in the front panel. So just clip off the excess leads and then we'll get the front panel reattached. Okay, I've stuck the LED back onto the front panel with some tape, kind of like it was stuck on there before. We'll replace the screws to hold the front panel on and get the bottom on it, and get all the knobs back on and the cover on. And this one here will be, well, ready to find itself a new home. I'll see if I can find some knobs for it too. I'll have to look, see if I can find some matching knobs, because obviously it's going to get a better price if I've got all the knobs on it. The knobs back on. Bass and treble controls were smaller. Okay. Power. There it is. Take a look at the light. So there's the power light lighting up nice. Looks like original. It's amber. That was important to keep the color the same as the original. Now all I need to do is find a couple of knobs like this. Good luck, right? But not one. I'm not going to obviously go on eBay and overpay for a couple of knobs, because an amplifier like this is not a very high power amp, 45 watts per channel. You know, an amplifier like this might go for 100, 150 bucks used. So, you know, it's something I'm going to keep my eyes open, but I'm certainly not going to pay a lot of money for the knobs, because I know people will gut an amplifier like this and they'll sell the knobs, and they'll sell them for $10 or $20 each, because somebody's desperate enough that wants one I might be better just to sell it without the knobs and let someone else worry about ordering in the knobs, because as they say, if I go on eBay and order a knob in or 2 knobs in for the thing and get the knobs replaced, I'll never get the money back that it'll cost me to order it by the time I pay the shipping and everything and broker charges and whatever. I'll never recover the costs of what those knobs will cost on eBay. So I may be further ahead just to cut it loose the way it is now. Sounds good. Top cover's got some stuff spilled. No, it's not. I thought it was rust, but it's actually something was spilled on it, so that can just be cleaned off. Anyway. I'll shut down the lights so you can see how great these meters look. Don't they look nice? Okay, that's it. All done. Here's my AKAI AM2450. This one came out of that estate that I picked up a bunch of stuff up at the other day or last month. And yeah, it's up and running. Everything's working great on it now. That power switch was the problem on this one, but it's working great now. No flickering lights. The lights come on right away, and it kicks right in right away as well. Yeah, it's in good shape. All right, thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.